go on, briefly, just make a point, and then...
I'd just like to agree that the deeply entrenched systems are there, because in Rwanda, which is a relatively new government, there's been no efforts to promote women particularly, but it's 51% women MPs. So in a country like UK, where you have this history with these deeply entrenched families, that is what is preventing women from rising.
Thank you very much, very good point. Right, let's move on. Now my hint is that I think it would be a very good thing today for us to actually confront this big debate that's been going on over the last few weeks with the whole sort of Russell Brand nonsense about whether politics is relevant and whether it's interesting to you. We don't have to do that right now, but I think this would be a very good forum to pick that up. Who would like to change the subject? You must have come with questions. I will come to you, but it would be nice if somebody else wanted to take them. But yes.
Hi, John Foster.
Just wait for the microphone.
Hi, I'm John Foster. I'm a trustee of the British Youth Council. Based on Friday's UK Youth Parliament debate, where MYPs from across the country chose Votes at 16 as their campaign for the year, and that's based on 474,000 young people across the country in the major mark ballots. Do you think Votes at 16 is a good way forward for engaging young people, and do you support it?
I don't support it, because I just don't think that at 16 you are able to evaluate everything that government does and touches your life. I think that, I've got two 16-year-olds at home, and they unlike your 474,000, I've debated this with them, they say actually, we agree with you. And I think it's funny when you have to ask a parent's permission to do lots of other stuff at 16. And I'm not going to do a laundry list for you, but then having to be told that you should go out and think that you are able to choose a government at 16 just doesn't, for me, it doesn't feel right.
Just out of interest, before we go on, can we have a show of hands if you are 16 or above in the room? And if you're 18, if you're over 18?
Yes.
So most of you are between 16 and 18. Okay, and below 16? Okay, great. Thank you very much. So this is a core group between 16 and 18. And I will come to you in a second. Natasha?
Can I do a show of hands as well? Who supports lowering the voting age to 16?
That's an easy one.
It's really interesting. It's always like, and who's against it? And who's not bothered?
Wow.
Well, no, I go to a lot of schools and I talk about votes at 16 a lot. I absolutely support votes at 16, and since I've been elected 8 years ago, I've been campaigning to lower the voting age. And I spoke at the UK Youth Parliament event on Friday, and I was delighted that was what was chosen. For me, I go into schools and I talk to, and we have the show of hands at the beginning, and the majority of people oppose it. For exactly the reason you said, we don't think we are wise enough to be able to make a decision that's so important. And then by the end, well, no, that's kind of, it's a sort of the basic reason. And then by the end of it, when we talk about, first of all, what we talk about is there are elections only every 5 years now. So if you just miss by 1 day voting, your 18th birthday is the day after a general election, you're knocking 23 before you get to vote for the first time in a general election. Now, nobody is advocating that we raise the voting age to 23. I know plenty of 23-year-olds who are less wise and who are, who would make worse decisions than a lot of 16-year-olds that I know. And what we have never, ever advocated is that you have some kind of either intelligence or wisdom test before you're allowed to vote in a general election. But the really, really big reason for me is that in Scotland, in the referendum next year, 16 and 17-year-olds will be allowed to vote. And we're saying to those very 16 and 17-year-olds that the next year they will not be allowed to vote in a general election. So if they're kind of old enough to vote in a referendum on the independence of Scotland, I think they're old enough to vote at 16 in a general election.
Can you just address that point?
I mean, as I said to you, I just don't think it's not.
So what would you say to those 16-year-olds in Scotland?
Or otherwise, I just think you need to experience what government does.
So you think that's the mistake? It shouldn't be.
I think it's wrong.
Okay. Yeah, go on. And then I'll come to the others. It's on this, presumably. Yes.
So I just want to, as in Parliament, the sitting on Friday, people might say, oh, we're not old enough, we can't decide. But hold on, at 16 we can get married, we can have jobs, and yet again you're saying we don't have a choice to actually vote, but we do all this stuff, and so doesn't that mean that we do have a choice of making decisions in life?
Okay. Maybe you shouldn't go out here married. Maybe those are the mistakes, actually. Julian,
I passionately believe in voting at 16. I think it has to be the right thing to do. We as a party have espoused this for a very, very long time. There's been, I think, 2 bills in the last 10 years to try to have votes at 16, both proposed by my colleague Stephen Williams, who's now Minister. The first one was defeated by the government at the time. The second one passed at that stage, but for all sorts of political reasons ran out of time to actually happen. But it has to be the right thing to do. The argument that some 16-year-olds aren't mature enough in some way to vote applies to some 80-year-olds. I mean, it just, we can't have it that way. Not all 16-year-olds will want to vote, but, so be it. And I think it's a really important thing to do. There's also a real issue that people who are older are far more likely to vote. And as a result, government policy is skewed towards people who are older. Because if you are a purely rational politician, and you can either spend some money on people who are 90% likely to vote or people who are 30% likely to vote, which will you do? And that keeps happening and keeps happening. And that's why we've seen things like tuition fees go up, because there hasn't been a strong enough voice from young people. And I did vote against it, and I absolutely stand by that. I've opposed them since they came in. But so it is really important. We had a debate about this on BBC Free Speech, if you ever watched it. And I remember one person saying, look, I don't have time. I think she was 16 or 17. I don't have time to vote. I'm far too busy earning money, paying for petrol for my car and getting on with life to be able to vote. I'll do it when I'm older. We all have so many things to do, but if you could all vote, you may vote differently when you're 40, you may vote differently when you're 60, but we should let you vote at 16. It fits in with everything else. And we'd start to see more focus on issues that affect young people, because there'd be more people to vote who were young and cared about young people.
And if 16, why not 15?
16 is a sort of default for a whole lot of other limits. As you say, you can start to change your life and have much more control at 16.
But as you've seen, there's a campaign to lower the age of consent now. So, if that goes to 15...
I don't think the age of consent is the only thing which defines effective adulthood. Let's get to 16 and we can see how that works. And if in another 20 or 30 years' time we have a big discussion whether it should be 15, I'm happy to have that conversation. But 16 would be a hugely fantastic thing to see.
Yeah, I don't want to repeat what other colleagues have said. I'm in favour. I'm a relatively recent convert to being in favour of 16-year-olds having the vote. And in fact, your colleague in the Law, Paul Tyler, brought in a private members' bill at which I spoke on the second reading a couple of weeks ago. So we had quite a lively discussion about that. Interestingly, I think only one person who was opposed participated in that debate. So there you go, representative of parliamentary democracy at work there. But I think the thing is, we're not going to say it should be compulsory, just as we don't say it's compulsory for anybody else. So if you don't feel that you're mature enough to vote, then don't vote. I only wish some of my own age group would take the same point of view, but unfortunately that's not on the cards. I think the other thing that really convinced me is when I look at all the wealth of information and disinformation, of course, but all the material that is there for you to discover about the world around you, whether you live in Harrow or Haringey or Hertfordshire or Harrogate or indeed Harare, you can find out everything you need to know virtually. Now, I'm not saying that all that wealth of information always translates into knowledge or understanding, but I think the key point is that it can do. Therefore, you can find out much more about the world around you and about how things are interconnected and therefore affect you than we were ever able to do when we were younger. And I very much remember when there was the same sort of debate around reducing the voting age from 21, which it was when I was a teenager, down to 18, and people say, oh no, 18-year-olds totally irresponsible, they want any of them. Look at the terrible things they're doing.